Hey book lovers, I'm Elise, and today I want to talk to you about all the books that I read in the month of September. September was a little bit of a slow month for me. Actually, the last couple months have been kind of on the slower side. I read 6 books in the month of September. The primary moods were dark, mysterious, and funny. Funny does not usually make it into the top 3 moods for me. It's usually dark, mysterious, and tense, so that's kind of fun. As far as genres go, I read 2 fantasy, 2 horror, 1 romance, and 1 science fiction. Overall, my average star rating was 4.17. I don't think that's ever... Oh, bunny rabbit. I don't think that's ever happened. I don't think I've ever had a month where the average star rating was higher than 4. That's pretty exciting. I like that. And that 4.17 average rating is comprised of 1 3-star, 3 4-stars, and 2 5-stars. Yes, I said 2 5-stars. I have been in a little bit of a 5-star drought this year. I've definitely read some really amazing books, but not as many have been 5 stars. And I don't know if I'm being really picky or if I'm just not finding books that work for me. So when I do find a 5-star, I'm like super excited about it. Oh, the other cool thing is all the books that I read, I own physically, which is nice because I don't have to put up any pictures of books, and it means I made progress on my physical TBR. So that is always good. The first book that I finished in September is Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. This is from the Part of Your World series. That started with Part of Your World and then Yours Truly, and then this was the 3rd installment. I love these books. Abby Jimenez so far is the only romance author that I've rated all her books 5 stars. I've only read this series. I haven't read any of her older stuff. And it's interesting because I loved Part of Your World. I loved Yours Truly even more. Didn't think anything would top it. This topped it. It follows Justin and Emma, and due to a Reddit thread, they discovered that they both have this like good luck Chuck curse. If you've seen that movie with Dane Cook and Jessica Simpson. No, Jessica Alba. That was Employee of the Month. Good luck Chuck. He dates somebody and then immediately after breaking it off with them, they go on to meet their soulmate. And that's kind of what Justin and Emma deal with. They figure, hey, maybe dating each other will cancel out the curse. So then the next people that we date will be like the one. Emma and her bestie Maddie are both travel nurses. So every 3 months they pick up and move to a different location, work at the hospital there. They end up moving to Minnesota, which is where Justin is from. And Justin, he is a great guy. So many things that he does. I was a little bit in love with him, I will admit, just a little bit. I loved the characters. I seriously like bawled my eyes out through the entire book. Not just because I was sad, sometimes it's just because what I was reading was so touching, so beautiful, so romantic, so whatever. I was just an emotional wreck during this book. But yes, this was 5 stars. I loved it. Next up, I read So Thirsty by Rachel Harrison. This is Rachel Harrison's brand new release that just came out. I did this one for a reading vlog where I read 1 Aardvark Book Club book and 1 Book of the Month book. And this was the Aardvark Book Club choice that I ended up going with. This is a really fun vampire story. So this is a horror, and her horror is very, I don't really honestly know how to describe it. A lot of people call it feminist. So Sloane's cheating POS of a husband surprises Sloane with this getaway with her bestie Naomi. So they go and it's like this weird little town that has like 1950s vibes, and the uniforms that the employees wear and the music that's played, it's a vibe. And while there, Sloane and Naomi meet some strangers and their lives are changed forever. This was a good time. I enjoyed myself. I ended up rating this one 4 stars. I really liked the friendship between Sloane and Naomi. The way that the story progressed and how things wrapped up in the end, I really liked it. This is now probably my 2nd favorite Rachel Harrison, the first being Black Sheep. The 3rd book that I finished is The September House by Carissa Orlando. I finally read this one. This one was also really fun. I rated this one 4 stars. This book is about Margaret and Hal. They've always rented. They've never purchased a home before. Now it's just the 2 of them. They're empty nesters. Their daughter is a grown-up living elsewhere. They start house hunting and their real estate agent shows them this old Victorian home. And I'm pretty sure the real estate agent even says, FYI, something bad happened here. And they're like, oh, we don't care. We love it. So they buy the house, and the house is very haunted. During the month of September, all the ghosts, all the spirits within the home, they become more active and the walls start bleeding progressively more and more as the month goes on. And there's something creepy hiding in the basement. This was a good time. It was very entertaining. It was very horrific, but also fun. Like, it didn't take itself too seriously. There's a cool aspect of learning about the history of this house and this property and the bad things that happened there. So I was really into that. And it did also remind me quite a bit of American Horror Story season 1, the murder house one. The housemaid in this one, Frederica, she reminds me a lot of the housemaid that was in American Horror Story. You know, a helpful spirit who unfortunately has a very nasty head wound, but she's always there to make tea for the missus. Next is the book that was the September book club pick for Libranauts, my science fiction book club. This one was chosen by my host Keisha, and that is Faux by Ian Reid. So this was my 3-star read. It's not that I didn't like the book, because I did. I was into it. It gave me a lot of anxiety because I didn't know what was going on. I feel like I don't have a whole lot to say about this because you can't really say anything about this book without giving anything away, but it was just very intriguing. Basically what happens is Junior and his wife Hen, they live in an old farmhouse out in the middle of nowhere. They don't get any visitors. And one night this vehicle arrives and this man named Terrence gets out and he's like, Junior, you've been selected. And then it goes from there. Again, there's not much that I can say without giving things away. So that's really all I'm going to say. And usually my 3 stars are books that I'm very meh about, but this book is honestly like, it's a high 3. I very nearly rated it 4 stars, but I ended up settling with 3. If you are into speculative fiction, science fiction, and just like unsettling atmospheric reads, I would definitely pick this one up. Okay. Next is a really good book, and that is Phantasma by Kaylee Smith. This was the other 5-star read for the month. In the vlog where I read So Thirsty by Rachel Harrison, this was the book of the month choice that I went with for that reading vlog, so I have a lot deeper thoughts over on that vlog. So this is a dark romantasy. It is spicy, but it is so magical. It has so much gothic atmosphere. It takes place in New Orleans in like this huge castle. Ophelia and her sister Genevieve, their mom is a necromancer and she passes away unexpectedly. Ophelia, as the oldest daughter, she has to perform this ritual to pass on her mother's necromancer powers from her to Ophelia. And then Ophelia becomes a necromancer and she has to kind of navigate these new powers. She's now able to see spirits, commune with the dead, things like that. And things happen and both sisters wind up going to Phantasma. And Phantasma is this game that travels from town to town and people basically have to compete. There are 9 different levels that people have to get through and they're all based off of the 9 circles of hell. This was really good. I very much enjoyed my time reading this one. There are ghosts and there are demons and vampires. This is book 1 in the Wicked Games series. Book number 2 comes out, I believe, next April. And the final book that I read in September is Apprentice to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mayer. This is of course the sequel to Assistant to the Villain, which was my favorite book of the year last year. This one is also romantasy, but it's not spicy. It's very quirky and fun. It's kind of a workplace romance. If you don't know anything about Assistant to the Villain, basically we have a villain who hires Evie Sage. She's like this super peppy, optimistic, kind of klutzy girl, and the villain hires her to be his assistant and work at the manor, and there's like an HR department and a groundskeeper slash like animal tamer and the villain is obviously super grumpy, so it's Grumpy Sunshine. And yeah, it's a really fun time. And this was the second book. I did only rate this one 4 stars. It didn't do for me what Assistant to the Villain did. However, it was still really good. I love the writing. I love the storytelling. It is like a magical adventure. This one I feel definitely has more adventure in it than the first one did because there's like quests that have to be going on a little bit. And of course it leaves you wanting more at the end. So I'm very excited for book 3 in this series. Okay, there you have it. Those are all the books that I read in the month of September. Really good month. I mean, even my 3-star, like I said, was not a typical 3-star for me. It was one I really did enjoy. I loved the discussion that we had for Libranauts. I'm so thankful for everyone that joined and shared their thoughts. All of these books, this was like the best reading month that I had had, and I could not tell you how long. Let me know in the comments down below what your favorite book of September was, and if you've read any of these books, what your thoughts were. I'm curious to know if we're on the same page. Thank you so much for watching. Please do remember to like and subscribe, and until next time.